Okay guys, welcome back. Anyway, on my last video I showed you the parts on this with this. Now I got two hands free. I want to show you what that looks like on edge, like this. Just like that. Now that's not what you want. And how I do this takes like no time at all. A couple swipes and it's good. Like this. As long as you look like that. What you're looking for is this. Okay? You're looking for that. It takes hardly any time at all. But I've talked about these things and getting these joints done. Now it's hard to do this without a cameraman, guys. I'm doing this all kind of winging it, but what you want to do is you want to take some tape like so and run that here. And then you want to find that base that you've done on this. And you want to put it like this. And that gives you your hinge, okay? Now all of your glue joints, you can do this on your full sheets and this. This is what it looks like on the back side of that. Guess what? You got this, and then for sake of argument, I'm going to show you what happens here. And these are just a couple scraps, and this is for demonstration purposes only. You just take and you glue it in like so. I use thick, the extra thick. Get your glue in there, pull it up, and then you're going to want to squeegee that off, okay? Now, this is what you get when you make these. It's this. I'm doing this off table, but anyway, this is what you got. Doesn't take very long to get these beautiful joints that you're looking on the airplane. And guys, that is strong as hell. Very strong. It doesn't move. It doesn't let go. That's how you do it. And this piece, I will take and literally, after doing this, guys, it takes a lot to break it. I didn't even let the glue set up on it. So anyway, when you come back and you look on the airplane, you'll notice that I have a couple bigger up spots in here, and I'm not worried about that too much. But the main areas, this is how it's done, guys. And it's not even that hard to do. It'll move around forever. Now, if you use yellow glue and you do this, I make entire sheets when I do my wings. Everything else, I make my sheets that way, and it takes literally no time, and I just use 80 grit paper. And believe it or not, that's my sanding block. This is for fine-tuning little pieces and parts, and it works tremendously well. It's long enough to where it can guide itself through everything, and you can really true up anything with that, because you have this, it runs as a guide. You're not going to get any diving with it. So this, on a long piece of wood, is going to be one surefire way to do it. So if you go on a big 36-inch piece like this, you're going to be able to sand it off and get it trued up really nicely. And it does work, and that's how I do it. But that's how you get this. Spend your time, go even strokes, and you're not even going to have any issue. And that's how I do them. You're going to use a lot of tape when you do it this way. But guys, more than worth the time. And $5 for a roll of tape is worth its weight in gold when you consider the fact of how much time you're saving when you're doing your final sanding. Guys, I won't even hardly even sand this at all. I'll come back, I'll do a little bit of filling, a little bit of body work, and this thing, just enough to tree it up, and I'll use 100 grit when I do it. Do my filling here before I glass it, using a little bit of Bondo, nothing serious. Guys, this stuff comes out so awesome, you won't even be able to stand yourself. Now another thing too, where we're talking about gluing, and I've talked about a lot about it before. If you push on anything and you see anything that's missed, don't put glue on the outside like I did right there. And the reason being for it is, The only reason I did that was because I needed to get this to settle down, and it wouldn't. There's a trick. Now, when you come back and you look through there, if you see any gaps or anything, you're going to notice I got a lot of glue coming through here. But it's because, one thing, I put it on my finger and I come up through the jig, and I'll actually put it on my finger and wipe it and push it into these joints. So this stuff stays. This stuff is not going anywhere ever. I mean, it's a permanent fix. And if you bust a piece like I did with, you break apart with a clamp because it let go, very easily repaired. And you'll never see this. It disappears. But again, when you do your sheeting, you should be looking at something like this, and we already talked about this. Don't worry about these things, but when you're coming up to here, these pieces are what these are going to be, and this is what they should look like. And it's just a really good way. It adds a lot of strength to put those bevels in there. It increases the strength by like 30%. And if you don't believe me, do a bend test. But glue one and then put another one in, plus they just fit better. So they fit a lot better, as you can see. That's the way it rolls. And that's how you get these really nice glue joints. And if you get a little bit of wide one in here, like in here, that's actually doesn't have much of a gap. That is because that is where this is actually sitting and sistered onto this piece here, and then cuts back into here. I wanted a little bit more strength in this, so I added it. I got some sanding to do, but I'll actually use Bondo and complete this little nightmare right here and just fix it, because this is real gentle. It's a real gentle deal, and it's almost near impossible to do with wood. I was looking at doing it that way and adding some more wood in there, but I'm just going to fill it strong enough. And one thing again too, fellas, is don't oversand your fuselage. Don't be afraid to fill and build it up a little bit. Don't go and fill great big huge voids like this. I mean, by all means do it, but if you got like this is nothing to fill with some Bondo and this line here, and it'll sound amazingly easy. And again, Bondo is okay to put under glass, so, or you can put it on top if you'd rather do it that way. I personally don't. I like to fill it first and then come back. And the reason for it is because Bondo is porous, and you have to cover it and paint it. There's no difference between putting fiberglass over it or putting primer. It's the same difference. It's going to accept it. It's not going to let go of the fiberglass. So I put it on first, and plus it adheres to the wood extremely well, and it does it. So give yourself plenty of space and time to work with a lot of these, and you're going to be just fine. And don't worry about it. If you get something that feels kind of really odd and out, sand it until it looks like it's pretty close, then put a little skim coat of filler over the top. And again, you know, you don't want great big giant voids, but sometimes they're unavoidable. And you can fill them, you can sand it, and you're covering it with fiberglass. If this is a wood table, I'd be yelling at everybody right now, but it's not. It's a piano. So we're going to get this done, and I'm also going to fill this little void with some filler and get this shape, and it's just a very little amount. It's not enough to even worry about. As a matter of fact, it is so, there it is. I'm going to put this piece in here like so, and if you look down it, it's good. And then I'm going to put a skim coat over the top of it after it's done to make get this final roll that's in here. And I'll show you that when we get to the point of that. Now, if I get a cameraman in here to help me out, which for some reason, I'll explain it later. But anyway, as it is, guys, we got some filling to do, but it's not going to be ridiculous amounts. And I know it seemed like, oh God, he's going to Bondo that. You know, no, don't worry about it. This is so thin that it's easier to do it that way and get these contours done in here, and what little bit is actually in here, and do it correctly. And of course I did plank this back here, so you guys know. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe.